Good afternoon and good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty360. Welcome you to one of our Customer Expo preview videos. Today we're speaking with Don Fox, who's the CEO of Firehouse Subs. Don, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, my pleasure.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your role at Firehouse?
Well, sure. I'm a longtime restaurant industry veteran. I've been at this for 44 years. I had a lengthy career with Burger King Corporation, 23 years before I came to Firehouse in 2003. When I joined the brand, there were only 65 restaurants. We're at 1,135 today. I've been in leadership roles since I joined, as CEO in 2000, or COO in 2005, CEO in 2009 up until today.
Could you tell us a little bit about that on your session and what you plan to cover at the conference?
Well, sure. Really want to talk about the voice of the customer and really our ability, capacity to listen to them and build that into our brand performance, and especially as it relates to relating back to the community. That extends into what we do philanthropically. I mean, really forging a connection with the consumer and making sure we're fostering that sentiment and in the end using it to help drive our business, which, by the way, it's very symbiotic. The more successful we are in business, the more successful we are in philanthropy, the more the consumer benefits.
Could you tell us a little bit about that philanthropic approach?
Well, sure. That's always been part of our culture as a brand, going back to when the founders started back in 1994. But in 2005, it took a different turn. We created the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. And at that point, we started to really hone in our efforts on something that was very brand-centric. The central mission of the foundation is to donate life-saving equipment to first responders, predominantly fire departments, but also police departments and other entities as well. So to date, we've donated over $35 million of equipment. And those donations happen predominantly, the vast majority, back in the communities where we operate. So it's a great source of goodwill between us and our consumers, and also what's very important is how we tie our franchisees into that.
Excellent. It's great to hear about that always. Who would benefit most from attending your session and why?
Well, I think clearly operators are going to benefit, and particularly those that are working within franchise systems. You really need to be able to develop your business case with franchisees, especially if it involves making investments, particularly if they're going to be making part of the investments. So I hope I hope that any operator, particularly franchisors, is going to take away a lot of value. And by the way, I'd add that people that are involved on the supplier side of providing data and insights, they're going to see how to forge a better connection with their customers.
Okay, great. Thank you. And can you give us the 3 key takeaways that attendees will receive in your session?
Well, I'm going to give them very real-world examples of the connection between philanthropy and business, but then also consumer sentiment and our business. And I think the third one generally is how you can really make inroads, particularly in a franchise system, make inroads with your operators, how you go about trying to get commitment to the cause, not just compliance.
Excellent. And can you talk a little bit about that one? That was interesting when we spoke during our interview. You talked about how you've changed that engagement with the franchisee. And we talked to a number of brands, a lot of them are members of Loyalty360, who have that challenge. If they're trying to change the approach, the mission statement, the organizational focus, getting that buy-in can be a challenge, correct?
Well, it can be. And I think having quality data is paramount for that. We went through a period of time as we were evolving our philanthropic arm, the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. We had segments of our franchise community who felt that was just hobby farming, if you will, on the part of the founders, sort of a pet project. And granted, it started because it is just part of our cultural DNA. But as we became more and more successful, it was obvious that it was a key driver for the business. The only way we were able to convince the skeptic that might be in our community was by showing them the data. And I think sometimes you can make compelling cases both on the emotional side and just call it the quantitative side of things. But I think the best argument is when you combine the two.